What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is June 17th. And oh my goodness, we have a little bit to talk about in one side of the field and not a lot to talk about on the other side of the field because someone decided just to absolute dominate this course. Yuli is a little bit under the weather, so we got Gary full time tonight. Gary, how's it going, brother?
That's going pretty well. It was a really interesting event to watch this weekend, and yeah, if you want me to, for everybody, I can do the old like lean back,
And
right
just
here, just give everyone nostalgia for
the,
Yuli. But no, things are going well. How are things going on your end?
Things are going good. Been playing a little bit of disc golf here and there. Weight room's been good. Diet's been good. Running's been good. We had a really tough workout today
Hmm.
where we're just starting to run a little bit quicker. But yeah, overall, body's feeling good. I will be potentially at this time next week. I will be doing my first tour life, not in the Dark Horse Den. I will be in Des Moines. It's already
That's
around the corner. So I was texting Ezra and Aaron. So we're all going to be having an Airbnb up there. So it should be a fun time. We should have a practice round video, which has been a hot minute. So that should be a pretty good one coming out at Pickard Park. But yeah, week's been really, really good. No complaints over here. Make sure you guys, if you haven't watched the latest YouTube video, I just did an alternate shot with Kelsey. Not sure how I feel about that format. People say they want to see more. Maybe we'll have to go to even more challenging course because that was. I will say it was good practice, Gary, to throw from spots I've never thrown from before.
Yeah, that's I had a similar experience this just yesterday. We have a group that gets together on Mondays and they do a thing called twisted tags where they try to add some kind of weird twist.
Hmm.
And we did one where we played A-B double basket doubles, where you have to tee off with a partner and you have to hole out of both baskets to finish the hole. So you're kind of put in interesting positions where you have to play from weird lies, and you're partnered with someone who is a little bit less experienced in the sport. So I was with someone who is a really promising young lady, but doesn't throw very far. So put me in some interesting positions off the tee, and it's always fun to get that. It makes you sharpen your skills a bit.
Yeah, it was good practice too because Kelsey wasn't having the best putting day, and so it was putting.
Mhm.
We always sometimes have maybe some struggling putting. So on those days, you really put a lot more pressure on your up shots, your tee shots to try to get as
Mhm.
close to the basket as possible. So I will say, hey, if you want a fun little thing to get out there and make practice a little bit more exciting, do a little alt shot with someone and play from spots that you normally don't play from. So let's jump into, I think right off the rip, let's just go straight into the recap of what went down this weekend. So we did finish the Preserve Championship out in Clearwater, Minnesota. Gannon and Buhr basically boat raced the entire field, shooting an insane 15 under the final day. And if you didn't think that was impressive, he shot 16 under the day before with a bogey. And the first day seemed to be like the only day that was somewhat challenging for these players. First day, only 2 players ended up shooting under par, where leading after that, we ended up having, almost 10 double digits both days. I mean, Sunday was the easiest of days. We had almost 20 players or so shoot double digits. So, having Simon come in, having Kale come in and do some changes, I don't think it was necessarily the changes some people were expecting. I thought the course was going to play a lot more challenging. Turns out, only reason it played any challenging the first day was because the wind was insane and the rain wasn't that great, right? And so that's going to cause problems for a lot of players, a couple shots here and there. But what are your thoughts? I mean, initially watching it, Gary, thoughts on the course playing as a whole? It's no different than what it was, in my opinion, as a birdie or die course. That's what this tournament was, and that's maybe what it will always be.
Yeah, I liked a couple of the things they tried to sprinkle in there. I mean, the stroke and distance for the hole that goes over the water. I think that was hole 4. So we saw some people really get penalized by that,
Yeah.
who just, especially on the first day when there was a bit of a headwind there where guys were taking their 5th shot off the tee after the first 2 went out of bounds. So I enjoyed that. Having Simon add a hole that was like a forced roller was interesting because we got to see some creativity from other people. There were guys who were trying to do the big anti-air shot, which was working out and not working out. We saw rollers on the outside of the tree, the inside of the tree. So I like certain small changes like that, especially with, I think one of the holes that proved to be the hardest on the course was that new dog leg hole that they put in, where a lot of players were having a hard time getting to the corner and then navigating to the green past that like conifer that was in the middle of the fairway. So I like stuff like that, but ultimately it feels like even with the changes, the course still played as easy as ever.
Yeah, without the weather rolling in and also the cold, that was, I think that definitely kind of got some people's attention. The cold there, you had to average 8 under par to make it into the top 10. So this is for sure a course that you go out, you have to go low.
Mm-hmm.
If you start the front 9 and you're only a couple under par, you're behind the 8 ball, and that's just what the course is. And I've been a little bit tough on course design. I err more on the side of difficult. Like, I want to see score separation, but I'm okay with certain tournaments throughout the year being birdie or die courses that you have to go out and shoot hot, because that is a different skill. That is a different mindset of knowing you have to go out and shoot 8, 9, 10 under every round. And if the weather was better round 1, you probably need to shoot double digits all 3 rounds to make it in the top 10.
Yeah, and I like especially kind of where it's placed at in the schedule this year. You got it before a bunch of majors. It's only a 3-round event, so we're not doing 4 rounds at this like blitz style course.
Yeah,
and it comes after the Elite Plus series with two courses with Milo and Glendevere. So I think it's positioned really well. There's a skill involved with coming out, getting hot, and staying hot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not that kind of player and you don't want to play that way, that's fine. Use this as a practice week to go get ready for the majors or whatever it is you got to do. But it's nice to see players come out and have to play like almost a different style of disc golf and try to be. It opens up the door for more players to be successful, which we definitely saw looking at like the MPO leaderboards. A lot of players whose names you probably don't typically see up there, and it kind of just allows you to flex a different muscle. I think it's important to have different a variety of, you've got really tough courses on tour. You've got some courses that are sprints, which is interesting. It's like I said, it's a different muscle you have to flex as a professional player.
Yeah, and looking at the course, I don't even want to know what the course would have played like had it played the way that Simon wanted, right? Without the all the OB, because there was very few holes that you really did get penalized. You obviously talked about hole number 4, but there was very few holes that you got penalized for throwing an errant shot. A lot of times it was just chuck something up there, and if it's a good shot, your second shot's gonna be pretty easy. If it was a bad shot, your second shot might be a little bit more challenging, but you can still make birdie, right? And I think that's why we see some of the players on this list that we don't normally see consistently towards the top of the leaderboard. Players like Carter Aarons, I believe his best finish prior to this was 30th or something like that. Now, he's someone that has a lot of arm talent. I've watched the kid throw. The kid absolutely nukes the disc. Another player that kind of comes to mind, which I don't think was actually in this tournament, or maybe I missed him, Jacob Curtis, right? That's another player that just nukes it. And, occasionally can get a little wacky off the tee. Corey Ellis is kind of up there as well. Corey Ellis, phenomenal putter when he gets hot, but his issues over the past has been his consistency and accuracy off the tee. You go to a course like this where you can spray it a little bit more and still shoot pretty low. He's up there. Silas Schultz, another big arm guy. Noah Meitzma also finishing in the top 10. So we're having some guys that we aren't usually seeing in the top 10 at this event. And it's, again, like we said, it's nice to kind of mix it up every once in a while. My thought is, I think you can still get tournaments like this, but we don't need to maybe have a bunch of people shooting double digits every single round. With that being said, Gannon said, hold on one second. Let me just show how much better I am than everyone else by putting 2 of the best rounds that we maybe have seen this year. Now, granted, still, it's an easy course compared to other courses. I think like a 10 under round at a very challenging course is better than a 16 or 17 under round at a hard course, just because mentally you're constantly having to think about making a mistake. But super impressive by Gannon. And I think right now he's basically has proven that he is still the number one player, which I don't think any of us have thought otherwise this season. But also it shows that I don't know if even if someone else came out here and played their best, I don't know if they would have beaten him. Like I think when he's at his best, I think no one is touching him this year.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like if you look at the stats for his event, I mean, he was 62% from C2. That's gross, and 94% from C1. And he put himself, I mean, you think about it, he was in C2 in regulation 87% of the time. So you take that to the 62% C2. He was giving himself opportunities everywhere he went. There was a stretch of like 5 or 6 holes where it's not even showing up on his C1X percentage because he was that close every single time. So yeah, I don't think anyone else, even at the best of their game, could have came out and really put a challenge to him.
Yep. And he slayed his dragon finally. I guess coming into this tournament, he had never birdied hole number 2.
Yep.
And
he did it both in second and third round.
Yeah, he was able to do it second and third round. So I'm notorious for getting an 8 on that hole one time, Gary. And that pretty much ruined my round.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the video where Simon went and met with Kale, but they brought that up in that video. Kale just casually dropped. I think Brody got an 8 on this the one year.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow.
I know. Catching strays there, but yeah, the fight part was not.
To be fair, I played the hole incorrectly. I played it the way that I think it should be played, where if you miss the Mando, you have to re-tee. That's how I played it. Turns out if you miss the Mando, you actually get to go to the FPO tee pad, and that's like 10 feet away from the Mando tree. So I think when I carded an 8, everyone was like, how the heck did you miss the Mando? And it's like, well, I threw 3 shots from the MPO tee pad. But that's, again, I think that hole plays a lot harder if you miss the Mando, you have to re-tee versus, if I miss the Mando, I can just throw this easy chip shot and make a bogey.
Yeah, I like that. Little changes like that, I think, could add a little bit of difficulty to an otherwise easy course. Especially, I liked how they designed the course where you got the first hole, which is the let it fly in front of the fans a little bit, get your position, throw it into a small green, and then they almost do the exact opposite of that on hole 2, which is really narrow double Mando into a shorter shot that's super technical. So it's like right off the bat, you get hit with like a 1-2, opposite kind of style holes.
Let's switch over to the FPO side, because I think the FPO obviously was a little bit more fascinating this side, because Gannon after round 2 is pretty much done deal that he was going to win this tournament. On the FPO side, it was definitely down the stretch. It was a two-person race, Silva and Kristen, but Cadence was in there going into that final round. Just ended up having a terrible stretch, shooting 3 over through, I believe, 8 holes. So right in that from hole 3 to hole 10, 3 over par, no birdies at all. So just a really bad stretch for her right there. Pretty much shot her in the foot. And this is what I think it's interesting about Cadence, right? She hasn't won yet on tour. I think she's probably the next one that's due. If we had to pick an FPO player that hasn't won yet, I think she's the next one. And looking at her scorecard, what this shows me is as soon as she realized that she wasn't going to win, as soon as she was like, well, I screwed my chances up, I'm not going to win, she birdied 6 of the last 8.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's going to be something that she's going to have to work with. And she's very young. We've had her on the podcast. She hasn't been around playing on tour forever. Right. So that's just something that's going to have to learn. How do you get that mindset of playing free from from hole 1 on? Because that's clearly what it looked like. As soon as she felt like, oh, no pressure, I can't win, she started playing well.
Yeah, and I think that's where the more she puts herself in these positions, to be on that final card of having Silva, Kristen, and Missy, she's surrounding herself with top tier talent, and that's going to force her to almost like have that maturity moment, because like you said, she's young, she's a high schooler. I think she just graduated, or she's about to graduate, or she maybe even missed she missed her prom for the Kansas City Wide Open. Maybe she missed her graduation for this event
for sure.
But I think the more she puts herself on the dance floor, the more that's going to really hone in on that ability to just close. Because like you mentioned that stretch of holes, she struggled with that same stretch of holes in round 2, where she did from hole 4 to 10 straight pars, no birdies there. So yeah, I think that's a big thing. I do agree she's the next person, I think, to get the win on the FPO side. She's showing a lot of skill and consistency, and she maybe has one of the low-key coolest nicknames in disc golf. Maybe.
Oh, not the nicknames. Everyone's got to have a nickname in disc golf, apparently. I do want to give a big shout out to Valerie, too. Mandahano here. This is a player that, go back to Waco, go back to that incredible shot she had on hole 17. We're all thinking, all right, this is another FPO player that's going to be in the mix, that's going to put pressure. Great putter. Maybe doesn't have the distance, but someone in the same kind of range of own, right? Of where someone that's very consistent, has a great putt, just is lacking some distance, ends up getting injured. I don't know if really ever recovered from that. I'm not really quite sure. Just kind of seemed like we didn't see her on the leaderboards anymore. And she shoots the best round of the week by 3 shots, clears the field by 3 shots, shooting 12 under, a perfect bogey-free round. She was even. I mean, this is where it's kind of crazy, right? She was even par going up into that final round and shoots 12 under, shoots herself all the way into 4th place. But maybe this is a little bit of a wake-up call, or her starting to feel like her old self, and maybe we see something from her at the major.
That's why I like an event like this. Like I said before, a major, it kind of gives a jump start to some players that maybe haven't seen one in a while. And we know Valerie has all of the skills in the toolbox necessary. When I think of like one of my favorite shots I've ever seen on tour, it probably goes back to hole 17 at Waco a couple years ago, when she had like a ripping headwind and she threw this beautiful like backhand into it and parked the hole. So she has all the skills that we need. I hope that she continues this throughout the rest of the season and makes a push.
Also, got to give a big shout out to Holland Hanley, fighting for that top 5 spot. Did not have her best A game this week. First round really kind of put her behind the 8 ball, shooting 1 under the first round, being 5 shots back. Second round, again, not her best, shooting 4 under, just kind of getting further and further away from the lead, but was able to put together a decent 7 under round with 4 under through the last 4, eagling on 15 and then back-to-back birdies on 16 and 17. She keeps her top 5 streak alive this season. So I had to give her a big shout out as well. And then, do you know anything about this Rebecca Dawn person?
Yeah, I think, isn't she? I mean, it kind of goes with the same thing we've been experiencing recently. Is she like a youngster?
I think so.
Yeah, because we've been seeing that a lot recently, where it feels like the tour is calling out a lot of these young, talented players, and we're seeing it almost exclusively right now on the FPO side of things, which is really, really exciting. But yeah, I definitely saw her popping off a lot on coverage there.
Ron in the chat says she's 16 years old.
There you go.
Yeah, so really good finish for her, finishing in the top 10. Congratulations to her, shooting 7 under the final round, jumping up 3 spots there. It does also kind of just show you, though, like how separated the FPO field is, because she was even par. Like, if you told me, hey, through 2 rounds, Gary, you're even par, but you're going to shoot 7 under the 3rd round, how many spots do you think you would jump up in the leaderboard?
Probably not that many.
You don't think so? I feel like
it depends. On the FPO side.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not on the FPO side. I'm just saying, like, if you don't put yourself in FPO, I'm just saying you were playing a tournament, you shot even par, you're even par through 2 rounds, and then you shoot 7 under the final day. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm jumping a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, it's a handful of people.
Yeah, and so she jumped three people. So it's just like there's just a big gap. I mean, the gap right here it's literally from Kat Merch, who finished 16th, to Chantel. That's a 6-shot gap. Kat Merch finished 16th at 1 under, 18th was 5 over par. So I mean, like right there is just a 6-shot gap between that.
She would have jumped more, but you could see the people who are above her, like Owen shot nine under, Haley King shot 8 under, Holland shot 7 under,
Valerie
and
shot 12,
Valerie shooting 12. So like that it could have possibly been her jumping up into the top 5 had all of them not popped off, but
But it's like nearly, there's just, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, there's just not that, there's 45 players in the field. So when you think about it that way, there's just not that many people to actually jump at the end of the day.
And there's not that many, like they're missing a few people too. They're missing, Evelina.
We haven't seen any of these Europeans. Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Before we get to, well, let's talk to Silva and Kristen, and then we'll get to the other thing. So we now have back-to-back tournaments. Silva has won. She was able to win over in Europe against Kristen. Limited field, but granted, you have the number 1 player. Also, number 1 player was right down, breathing down your neck. Now you go over to the States. Both of you jet lagged. There's no excuses there. Obviously, the field is still limited. You don't have Evelina over here. Outside of Evelina, I think you pretty much have everyone else. So I don't even know if I would call it a limited field. I think you're really just missing.
Maybe just Paige because of how well she's been playing recently.
I think you got to put Paige in there too. So you're missing 2 of the top 10 players, but you still have Kristen. And it's coming down to you and Kristen down to the wire. You're able to manage, granted, not the greatest finish going par, but it was enough to beat Kristen again by 2. She's now gone back-to-back, both of those wins over Kristen. And I think her game, outside of a few, she still has her occasional, I can't remember what was it, hole 5, I think it is now, the par 3 that's over the water with like one of the dumbest drop zones on the sidewalk. Like she pulled a shot and missed it by like 250 feet. It was, so she still had occasionally, I don't know what's with that. I don't know why that's happening.
But it happens like once a tournament, it feels
it does. And it's just like, holy cow, that shot's not even close. But outside of that, her approach game is very solid. Her putting is very solid. She makes a lot of big putts too. It's not like she's just consistent inside of 20 feet. She's making a lot of big putts. I think as of right now, I think I'm putting her, just because I haven't seen Evelina in forever, I think I'm putting her, Kristen, Holland, and Missy as the 4. And then I think everyone else is a step below. And I think Kristen is still maybe a little bit above, just because it's the last 2 events. I think you still got to put Kristen above all of them. But I think there is now a decent separation between those 4 and the rest of the field.
Oh, agreed.
And Cadence might be sneaky up there too, though, because she's kind of sneaky consistent too. But it's not enough. We need to see more.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Silva. I also like, people don't talk about it enough that she resorts to standstill backhands a lot. I think she's smart about, not doing too much. Like that was a big question mark. In fact, my wife even asked when I had it on TV, like, why is she doing a standstill on hole 17 when other people are kind of running up? And I'm like, that's just a way she can kind of control her shot a bit more. And she's very, very good at throwing the standstill backhand. So she knows what works in her game. I know she doesn't really have much of a forehand, but there have been players before we've seen who don't have much of a forehand who have a lot of success. And there's an argument to be made that, when you don't have a forehand, you're not clouded by as many decisions on the tee pad. So you're able to just throw what you're comfortable with. And that could be just the flip up or the turnover.
Yeah, and especially when you're playing courses that aren't demanding, right? Where they're saying throw whatever you want on every hole, every shot, you can get away with it. I think Silva's game is very, very polished. The one thing that was always the crutch of her was she seemed to always crumble down the stretch. Now, I still haven't yet seen her just like go out and take it. Like Kristen, that final day, I think Kristen could have won if she played better.
Yes.
I think Kristen still threw some bad shots, missed some putts. And so I still haven't seen her win against someone that's playing well. It seems like she's had just enough. And we've seen Silva crumble when the other person is playing well, right? Those are the 2 times I think we saw her, miss some putts, throw some weird shots where you're like, what the heck's going on? Yeah. Now, the other thing, we got to get her on the podcast because wait until you guys listen to debate night. There's a reason for that. But I got to ask her too, like, what is she always on her phone for?
Yeah.
I have never seen her without she doesn't have a disc in her hand, Gary. She has her phone in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so much score checking you can do. The scores don't change that much. And she's most of the time, the only people that matter are the people that she's playing on her card with. It's not like she should be worrying about third card. So I would love to hear. She's playing Candy Crush.
That's great.
Yeah, I would love to hear what's going on. And maybe it's like she needs something to distract her. And so she like immediately goes to her phone to like distract. I don't know, but she's just constantly on her phone.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully she's got a blue light or something on there for her eyes. All right. Was there any other storylines outside of the DNFs before we get into the DNFs, Gary? For FPO or MPO?
I don't think so. Other than I just was curious what your thoughts are on the massive duck in the room.
Okay, let's talk about the duck. First off, this photo is incredible. This photo,
I love it.
This photo is incredible. I mean, this is whoever decided to have the duck facing the basket so that we could get a photo like this. This is incredible.
Genius.
I absolutely love it. So a couple of things. First one, we talked to, I believe, Simon and some other people that people were interested in showing up to this event to see the duck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting people out to just see the duck, that's a win. You're getting people that maybe stick around to watch disc golf after they see the duck because there's only so much to see for the duck, right? So that's a win. Second thing, and maybe some people might think like, Brody, what the heck? I would have thought you'd be on my side. I think this is terrible. I think this is a bad look for disc golf. Where are you at? That you had my back. Guys, this is way different than a spotter who's actually on the green giving inbounds or out of bounds spots for players and spectators dressed up like a Jedi. These two things are vastly different. I am anti-Jedi spotter, big into the big duck. And, you know, I think it's just unique. It's interesting. It's not in the playing field. Now, if they made a hole, Gary, where we had to like throw over the big duck, there I might be like, hold on a second.
Could you imagine that floating in the water on 18 as you're trying to tee off?
See, I think I'm okay with that. If it's in the water, kind of like they do sometimes
off to the right.
Sometimes they do with cars, you know, for golf tournaments. I think I'm okay with that as well. But yeah, I think I'm okay with this. I think it's interesting. It brought people in. It was a talking point, and it made for hilarious photos.
Mm-hmm. Especially as like you rounded the back part of the course, you could see the duck for like the last 5 holes. Like you're approaching the duck as you play, and then just like you said, the brilliance of putting it here. There was a moment where like they had a camera behind someone putting right at the duck, and I'm wondering, does that take you out of your zone? You got this giant 60-foot, 30,000-pound thing staring you down. I heard that this could be going to Idlewild too.
Oh yes,
yeah,
I get to see the duck.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Like you come out of the tunnel on 18 and the duck's just peering over the trees at you as you're trying to approach that final basket.
I gotta maybe try to do a trick shot with the duck here. Gotta do a trick shot with the duck.
Do you think like something like this because you have a lot more experience with like getting sponsors and that kind of thing. Would a company ever be interested in like seeing a large asset?
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
All right. Here we go. We got the duck and the Jedi spotter.
Man.
Oh.
Would a company ever be interested in like a large, you know, physical asset like this on the course, putting up some kind of advertisement on this type of thing? Like, is there value in that kind of stuff, or getting because I've seen a lot of discourse between people that, you know, this is gimmicky and stupid, or no, this is brilliant because a large company might want to come in and stamp their thing on it. Like, what happens if we get a big inflatable gummy bear at Worlds, you know, with Haribo on it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, like you go to a lot of these tournaments, you know, the big golf tournaments, bike racing, cycling tournaments, not tournaments, events, running, swimming. You go to any sort of event. Now, obviously, I mean, even go to a football game or basketball, there's activations all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Very few companies will ever turn down the chance to have an activation, right? They want to not just be a name, they want to have stuff to go to it. I mean, there's a reason why companies make commercials, right? You gotta be able to tell people what the product is or get people excited about your brand or anything like that. Not just saying the Rubber Duck Preserve Championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, yeah, I mean, I think so. I think people would be interested in having a spot. Thing that jumps out to me, obviously the baskets, that's a big one. Having something around the basket, that's big. But another thing that jumps out to me is like a triple Mando, right?
Yeah.
Like having a big sign as a triple Mando, and we have to throw through it. I know they did a little bit with like the Zuka Mandos, but a lot of times those weren't even in play. They were more just kind of like structuring the tee box, if you will, or framing up the tee box. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm all for it. And at the end of the day, too, the thing is, people are going to hate on disc golf. They're going to hate on disc golf. Whether we have a big duck in the background or not, they're going to hate on disc golf. So to me, it's like, if you're able to figure out a way to where people are going to pay money for these activations and be like, wait a second, this is actually getting my money back instead of just being the title sponsor of something, then I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. So speaking of sponsorship, we got to talk about this sponsorship. And PDGA Mike might have to come in here and defend how the heck he allowed this to be sponsored. Morning Wood, not a sponsor of this podcast, but what are we doing here? How is this seeping through the cracks? Or do they just not give a rip?
Yeah. I the first time I heard it, I had to like triple take. I'm like, wait, what did he say? But you know what? It's not the first time that Terry's had a interesting named sponsor on something he's done. So I'm sure he included himself.
I still don't know the Ian board game sponsorship of where he like basically.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that one because I think the read is actually supposed to make fun of them.
Yes, they're supposed to say like, "Oh, a board game in a digital world."
Yeah, why the heck would anyone play this or something? And that one I've heard that a couple times. I still don't understand that one. So I guess we're just throwing this into the weird sponsors. You know, they're giving money. Mike says he's got no comments at the time.
Pleading the fifth.
They're giving money. I get it, but that one seemed a little bit crazy, and the read for that one too. Also, it's kind of like if they had we love Manscaped here. They are a sponsor of the podcast, but it's kind of like if they went into a Manscaped read during coverage and was like talking about what, it'd be kind of like, wait, whoa, hey. On a podcast, it's a little bit different, but when you're watching live coverage, it kind of just throws you for a loop all of a sudden. So
100%.
All right, we got to get to the DNFs here. We haven't talked about DNFs in a while, which is surprising. There was a moment in time where Tour Life, we were all about the DNFs. We were paying attention to DNFs, tracking DNFs. And this tournament, for whatever reason, we had 4 DNFs on the FPO side. And you might think, hey, that's not that much. That's over 1%. Or almost 1% of the field DNF'd. You have about 45 players, 4 people DNF'd, almost 1% of the field DNF. I think anything over 1% is a decent number. So we have Lindsay Fish, Emily Weatherman, Natalie Ryan, and Allie Smith. Now, we don't know why Natalie Ryan, Emily, or Lindsay DNF'd.
I know why Emily DNF'd. She's been having some serious issues.
Wait, is that 10%? Am I an idiot? I am an idiot. Why didn't no one help me out there? I was like 1%. That makes no sense. That would be 4 out of 400 to 1%.
But that was the chat participation moment of the we were giving you.
I'm glad all you guys are paying attention. Thank you.
Well done. I hope one of you has the crown who put out 10%.
I was making sure you guys weren't sleeping on me live chat. And if you're listening to this after the fact, just know that I always knew it was 10%. All right, Gary, what'd you have to say?
So Emily Weatherman, she put this out on her Instagram not that long ago. She was having some serious issues, I guess, with her back or her spine. I'm trying to find it for sure, but she is I guess, experiencing like a lot of pain when she plays, and requires like a lot of trips to like the chiropractor and things like that. It's making it very difficult for her. Here we go. She says, my body's hurting so bad when I play. I'm not able to play practice rounds because every time I play, I hurt so badly. I also cannot sleep well on the day. There you go. It's on the screen now. But yeah, so she's having a hard time with her back, and it's like making things out of place when she plays. And it sounds like a pretty serious issue. So I'm hoping she figures out some kind of solution for it, whether that's like correction. I don't know if it's like a surgery thing or whatever, but it sounds like it's pain management on her perspective.
Yeah, and being on tour and talking to a lot of players and knowing their lifestyle, and I don't know. I'm speculating here with Allie because that actually. Oh, is that Emily or is that Allie?
Emily.
Oh, Emily. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm speculating with Emily here, and really honestly, it'd be speculation for everyone. But I do know for other players, it's kind of like, what are they supposed to do? Right? Yeah. Like they don't have a house to go back to. They live in their car. They're planning on being on tour. So if they get injured, it's like, what are they supposed to do? Because when I first think about it, I don't think about it from their side. I think about it from just an athletic side of where if you're a professional athlete and you're injured, you shouldn't. And if playing is going to put you at more risk to get more injured, you should stop. Get help, get healthy, and then come back to activity. But for a lot of these players, there is no home base. So it is probably very challenging to like be in the area that the tournament's going on and being like, I'm not going to play. So I think a lot of them just like, well, I'm just going to try. I just won't practice and try to play and see how it works. And you end up getting a lot of people DNFing because of that. Yep. And you can't get too upset either because, again, there's 45 players in the field, Gary. If this was a full field event and players are getting in and kicking other players out, then you can kind of be like, well, what the heck? That's not really fair. But also, you're kicking – if you were kicking someone out, you're probably kicking someone out that's going to shoot 30 over par. So it's like you're not kicking out someone that could win the tournament or finish in the top 10. So that's where it's like I don't really care. Go out and try. If you can't do it, it is what it is. But we did have a little situation here between Allie Smith and Kona. So I think we should start with Kona's Instagram story first. So Kona's Instagram story goes like this. Yesterday was odd. To start the day, we had a player DNF. So we were starting our round with a card of 3 already. The conditions were rough with the wind and rain, and we were already dealing with some backups. On hole 5, one of my card mates had a foot fault, and when I looked back to ask the other person on our card if she had seen it, she was a ways back. I got pretty upset, to be honest, because we had already been waiting, and then it felt like we weren't doing our jobs as competitors by watching each other's shots. I called a courtesy warning and asked the card to do a better job. I was frustrated, and it's probably the second courtesy I've ever given someone. Overall, it was a very uncomfortable experience, and all I have to say is if you don't know what someone is going through, you don't know what someone is going through. I hate that I had to call a foot fault and then call a courtesy warning, but I was following the rules. Y'all can give me a hard time for it. That's okay. I'm proud of myself for calling it. I think 5 years ago, I wouldn't have. After the situation was had, the player had DNF, so we had to quickly call marshal officials. Sometimes you have to prioritize yourself rather than force it. So she just kind of continues to go on saying that, it was kind of a stressful round with, just 2 players on the card now and a marshal. So that player doesn't call her out by name, but we find out that player ends up being Allie Smith. And I believe other people probably figured out that it was Allie Smith. So Allie Smith made a response video on Instagram, which I think we can play for you now.
Here we are. There's reserve. It's nasty out. I DNF'd. Played poorly. Just the first couple holes. Hole 5, we tee off. My card mates are short of my lie. We get to their lies, and we have to wait because the card in front of us is in the way. I'm very upset. I want to separate and be, isolated pad where I can still see everyone throw. One of the girls throws, and immediately I'm addressed from one of the other players that I'm receiving a courtesy violation, a courtesy warning, being courtesy warned for not looking at all the shots. So I'm very taken aback, and that just skyrocketed my emotions negatively. I couldn't see straight. I couldn't throw a frisbee. My third throw from there is amazing. We think it's great. The spotter thinks it's in the fairway, by the circle. Can't find it. Lost disc. And at that moment, I know I physically can't play disc golf at a competitive level. I know that I have to get out of the situation that I'm in. So that's what happened. Yeah.
All right. So I'll preface this by saying we have had Allie on the podcast before, and I thought it was actually a really great interview, really interesting to talk to. With that being said, I do think she is probably in the wrong here. I don't think that was probably the correct response to getting a call on them. And I think this is a very interesting time for this because we have been talking a lot about these new rules that are coming out or potentially coming out. And these new rules that are potentially coming out are going to put even more pressure on players to make calls, more pressure on players to watch throws, more pressure on players to do all these things when clearly, A, players don't want to do those things, and B, when players do those things happen like this. You have a player DNF because of Kona making a call, and then Kona actually recently, I think maybe an hour ago or something, not that long ago, posted this on her Instagram story saying, "This is why no one calls rules. Because when you finally do, you are made out to be the bad guy and the world goes crazy. The one time I decide to speak up and I get all these haters coming at me. We are a self-governing sport and you are giving me a hard time for finally calling something. What's the point of having rules? This is what happens when things are taken out of context and people take things too personally." So this is the problem, Gary. The problem is when you don't have an impartial, because here's the beautiful thing about basketball and football, Gary. Okay, I'm just going to use those two sports because they're two of the biggest sports, and even soccer. We can throw soccer in there too. A couple of the biggest sports in the world. The beautiful thing, Gary, is at the end of the game, you know who I'm pissed off at if I'm a fan or a player? The refs.
Yep, every time.
I am pissed off at the refs. The refs made a bad call. The refs weren't giving us anything. The refs were in the other team's pocket. I'm pissed off at the refs, a third-party, impartial, third-party source. I'm never pissed off. I mean, I obviously there is some beef and stuff there, right, between players and whatnot, but you can always direct your anger towards the refs. The way that the PGA is setting up golf right now, setting up disc golf, right now, is they're making it to where players, and maybe this is what we want. Maybe this will give the drama and the interest and the intrigue that we're asking for, Gary. Mm-hmm. But they're setting it up to where players are going to be pissed off at each other because they're going to be like, no one ever calls me on this, and now you're calling me on this. What the heck? And then you know what? Now fans are going to be pissed off at players.
Yeah.
And so this is the problem when you don't have the PGA stepping in and doing what they should be doing. Now people are coming after Kona for doing exactly what the PGA is telling her to do, which is make calls.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Especially on like a card of 3 where you're kind of stuck. You have to have everyone participate at that point. And if we go to the new system where the person who is part of whatever, I mean, I know the foot fault's different than like a group call otherwise. But it's like having the person who the jury convicts as guilty then have to join the jury for the rest of the day. It makes this really weird situation where, and then you sprinkle in, hey, we want to do sports betting on top of all this. It's a messy situation.
Yeah, and the thing that I think that was kind of wild was, I believe, if I catch this right, and Mike, let me know because the video was kind of cutting in and out. I believe Allie claims that she walked back to the tee pad.
Yeah, to the tee pad. Yeah, she was saying
after the shots.
Yeah, she was saying that there was a large backup, and if you look at the cards that were in front of her, so she teed off at 10:20. At 10, the group that teed off at 10, they finished the round plus 19, plus 14, plus 10, and then Cadence was on that card. So they were definitely having a struggle time through the start of the course. And then the group after that had they were having a tough time too. But also the one thing that's worth mentioning is, even though it was only a violation and not an actual like penalty, Allie still shot a 10 on hole 5. So she's definitely frustrated at her own play, because at that point she was already
we tend to see DNFs happening when you're playing bad, Gary.
Yeah,
so you tend to see too many DNF. If you see a DNF when someone's in the green and under par, it normally no one has to ever question whether that's a legit DNF or not. I will say it is what it is. The way that disc golf is currently set up, it creates a lot of soft people mentally, a lot of soft people. And the way that disc golf is, where you're used to, like, even it starts even with local courses, Gary. I was shooting 8, 9, 10 under par within a week of playing disc golf. It creates this environment of soft people. You don't like any pushback. You don't want any confrontation. You don't want any struggle. And then all of a sudden, when something happens like this, where you play a tough course, or, I mean, heck, the only reason I got 3rd place at DDO was because it was playing super tough and people were giving up. People literally were just like, I can't play in this wind. It's not because I was better than everyone. It's just because we have a bunch of soft people that weren't willing to get dirty and get money. And so my thoughts is, what happens when disc golf adds another zero? Right? You're not playing for $10,000 anymore, Gary. You're playing for $100,000.
Yeah.
Now, how does this work?
I've seen this happen a lot. So many people unwilling to call anything at a local level when all they're going to win is $15 in merch bucks. And so you take that all the way up to the top level. And I just don't know. Obviously, there's a massive skill gap between pros and like local amateurs and stuff, but I don't think there's a massive mental gap between a lot of pros and local amateurs when it comes to the buddy system and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, something's got to happen there. Something's got to break there. And especially when you have, now we've heard several different people in the pro scene say, yes, I will be an advocate for calling these, and several say, no, I will not call these. There's definitely something happening where one group is, the PGA is coming out and saying that, oh, we know they're going to support this, when one of the top social media player like Simon Lizotte and the top player in the game in the world, Gannon Buhr, both say, I'm not calling it. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and then you have other players that call in and they get pissed at that person for calling it because these people aren't calling it. And yeah, I mean, it's not a good system for anyone. So we'll see. I mean, this seemed like kind of like I don't know. It just seemed like to me, it seemed like a silly situation.
Yeah.
Right. Kona made a call. Kona didn't even make a call on Allie. Kona made a call on the other person on her card and just gave Allie a courtesy warning because she wasn't near to like see the foot fault. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see but like I said, maybe this like stirs up, people bickering and fighting. Maybe they would get a little bit more not so much buddy out there. I hate to be that person. I know I'm not in the minority here. A lot of people like to watch competition. They don't like to watch two friends playing against each other and both are happy for each other. They want to see a little bit of back and forth. And I don't know, maybe that's what the PGA is doing here. Maybe the PGA is playing chess and we're all playing checkers.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'll tip my cap to them.
Yeah, explain yourself, Mike.
All right, let's jump into Tour Life versus Grip Lock Pick'em here. Tour Life versus Grip Lock Pick'em. We're not going to do it this week because it is just going to be FPO playing this week. But man, were we close to having an insane pick this week. Now, on the MPO side, very, very fascinating. Both us and Grip Locked did the same exact picks. Simon, only one not to get any points. Ricky with that great final round to get both of us 3 points. So pretty much locks us both out. We went with the Kristen Tatar, which I just think is a safe. I see what they're doing. They went Holland and Missy. I just think Kristen is, if she's in the field, you got to pick her. Both, I'm a little disappointed that they picked Haley. I thought that was going to be a steal. I knew she was going to have a good tournament out on Preserves course. And then the one that I thought was going to get us some points, I thought Kat was going to get us some points. I'm not really quite sure what happened.
Yeah.
She was in the top 10 for a bit. I thought this course was going to set up well for her game and just wasn't able to do it, slipped outside. But we still won by 4 points, moving our total lead by 72.7 points over Grip Locked with another commanding victory going into the following week. I guess it'll be DMC. It'll be my first tournament. Will be the next time we do pick them.
Yeah. You be picking yourself?
No, I'm not going to pull Yuli. No.
I hate to break it to you, Brody. I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but there's a little bit of sour grapes going on over there with the Grip Lock guys.
No, those guys, no.
Yeah, I know, right? They're kind of
not complaining, are they?
No, I think they're taking the stance that it's two of them versus you and Yuli and Mike and Edwin and myself and all of the chat, and they're kind of painting themselves as a little bit of the victims of the world versus them when it comes to the pick'em here.
I'd say
they did.
Oh, we have a clip.
Their show did.
Yeah.
The Tour Life did.
They went with Paige Pierce.
We should. You know what we need to do, Trev? We need to Photoshop this graphic to have, because right now it just has Brody and Yuli's face on it, and that's not a good representation.
Thousands of people on it.
We need to have Brody, Yuli, Edwin, Gary, PDGA Mike, and then have AI simulate 1,000 people. Because from what I understand, they locked in their picks with Paige Pierce, who is at Bonnaroo this weekend. Sorry, got rained out, Paige. And apparently 10 minutes went by before the live chat was able to get their attention and say, hey, Paige isn't going to be there. How are we supposed to beat anyone? And then Brody has the audacity in the group chat to send. I didn't even respond.
He just said we can't lose.
He said, "LOL, we can't lose." Nah, dip, Brody. If we had 1,500 people working together with our brains, we'd be right in there with you. I'm honestly surprised we're only down 70 points. I'm proud of us.
All you have
heck of an effort.
All you have is Tubby Redhead on the other side going, we should call him Ganzilla.
No, because we're making our picks on preview shows.
All right. All right, a couple things there. He kind of contradicts himself, right? He says it took me 10 minutes to see chat tell me that Paige Pierce. That tells me that we're not looking at chat when we're making our picks. If it took us 10 minutes to realize that Paige Pierce wasn't in the thing, we're not looking at chat. Me and Yuli are locked eyeballs. Also, if you want to throw Gary, Edwin, and PJ Mike in there, fine. I'd say we have too many chefs in the kitchen. We got too many ideas.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, I mean, you and Yuli are doing the legwork. This is a live show with lots of people. There's a lot of moving parts going on. I'd say to have the mental fortitude to sit there and make picks and handle all that stuff, answer questions, prepare. It's just a lot. So it's not like it's a post-produced thing where you can kind of, if you don't like it, go back and redo it.
Yeah, Edwin says we never give our input. There you go. Brad says, get a bigger fan base, fools. There you go, Brad. I mean, here's the thing. It's nothing new in life. I've dealt with this my whole life. You know, you beat someone, they just got to come up with an excuse of why they lost, you know? And it is what it is. We'll deal with it. We'll keep moving forward. I'm not too worried about it. With that being said, we are winning by almost like 100 points. That's my goal now. I want to beat these guys by 100 points.
They're gonna start getting desperate soon and start picking people out of nowhere.
Oh, 100%. 100%. All right. Let's jump to a couple listener questions here that we have. A lot of vertical check, Brody. So I am down to 235 pounds. I've kind of been hovering around 235 for a little bit, but I have changed my muscle comp or my body comp quite a bit. So fat's coming off, muscle's still going on. I do a workout every Monday where I do 5 sets of 5 reps. If you guys are listening, start trying this. This is a great, great workout. Monday, 5 sets, 5 reps, bench press. You pick a weight. So let's say you do 135. 45, plate on both sides. You do 5 reps, give yourself 2 minutes of rest, 5 reps, 2 minutes of rest, 5 reps, 2 minutes of rest, 5 reps, 2 minutes of rest, 5 reps. If you do all 5 and you get it, next week you do 140. If you do all 5 and you get it, 145. This week I did 215. I thought I was going to fail. I thought there was no shot. Kelsey was spotting me. I thought I was questioning whether or not I was like thinking, if I like just give out, what is she doing? She's not curling 215 pounds, no shot. So I was thinking like sometimes life and death is what will push you forward. That's how those moms flip cars off their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to do 215. I'm for sure failing next week. There's no way next week I'm doing 220, 5 by 5.
With that attitude, I don't know how it's gonna happen. So you gotta.
I'm
lock in, Brody.
I'm only one more week away from doing 2 plates 5 by 5, and that's when you start talking about real weight here. So, body's feeling good, running's feeling good. I'm gonna start incorporating jumping training soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet. I kind of want to get to like 230 pounds, and then I can start doing more jumping stuff. But we're on pace here. We're in June. We have July, August, September, October, November. We have half a year, guys. We have half a year to dunk. I'm fine. I'm feeling good. All right, listener questions here. Do you know or have any insight as to why the Disc Golf Pro Tour hasn't chosen a consistent commentary team for all the events? I think it's just scheduling, right? I think I just think or maybe it's also like at the beginning of the year, they know they can't have, Sexton, for example, do every single one. They know they can't have Nate Doss do every single one. And so they just say, okay, Doss, we're going to have you for 5. Terry, we're going to have you for 5. Charlie, we're going to have you for 5. Filer, we're going to have you for 5. I think that's just what it is. They just schedule it out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and also I think who can make it, because sometimes they want the commentators there in person, like for larger scale events. So it's like who can make it out, especially when you got the on the course guys. You see people being sprinkled in like Zellner, and then who's the guy from Kansas City Wide Open who was absolutely incredible.
Kansas City Wide Open.
Oh, the guy on the course. He hit me.
Is it the PGA? He used to work for the PGA.
It's possible. He hit me with the best comment of the year, which was that all of Gannon Buhr's worries are like the period after the doctor and Dr. Pepper, not there.
That's a good one. I think it's the guy that used to work for the PGA. He is pretty solid, and he does like the golf voice too, where he like lowers it down.
Yeah, like he was talking to fans, getting fan perspective. It was probably one of the best ones I've seen, but I haven't heard him anywhere else. I want him back.
Jason wants to know, I think we are due for a course reversal, pun intended, where DGPT stops having longer and longer courses that favors the biggest of arms. I mean, how cool was it seeing some of those veterans tearing it up at Milo? More of that, please. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the reason why Milo works is obviously, one, it's beautiful, right? Landscape, awesome. But also a lot of those holes, the shot shaping required on those holes, You got to be really good with your angles. It's not just chuck it wherever. And if you get off the fairway, it gets tricky. It's tough to make good courses like that. There's not that many courses out there. So yeah.
How long do you think before the average, because like we talk about distance and stuff, and as more people join the game, we're seeing younger guys come in with these cannons for arms. At what point does the average distance of a pro in the next 5 years, when a lot of these guys maybe retire or move different divisions, does it move up to where you have to be able to throw, 500 to even be competitive? Because I've seen these courses that used to be professional level courses from the early thousands, and they're baby courses compared to what's now. And they probably back then thought like, oh, we're throwing real far, but they're not. Because
I mean, it's like in anything, right? When someone starts doing something that you didn't think was possible. I mean, back in the day, people didn't think it was possible to do a backflip on motocross, and now you have people doing double backflips and letting go of the handlebars, doing backflips and stuff, right? So once someone breaks the barrier, it's a lot easier for everyone else to follow suit. If you're a kid getting into disc golf, or if you're getting into disc golf at a younger age now, you're not thinking that, hey, if I just throw 400 feet, it's fine. So you're probably doing things to get yourself to be able to throw 500 feet. That's why a lot of these younger players that are coming on tour, they don't just barely throw the disc, they launch the disc, right? And so we're just going to see more and more of that. You're going to still have the elite arms like AB, guys that can really just sling it out there farther than everyone. But for the most part, 400 is now 450, and pretty soon 450 will be 475. It's just how it is until they change the disc and make the disc harder for players to throw. Regarding the mental thing of having fun while you play, like you have fun filming, maybe Kelsey should be on the bag every tournament. Harder said than done. Yes, definitely harder said than done. This is one of those things, unfortunately. Disc golf, if you're not a maniac, if you don't absolutely love disc golf, it's a lot of times played in not the greatest cities to visit. It's a lot of times played in venues that aren't really that great. And it makes it hard for people that aren't obsessed with disc golf to go. And Kelsey's kind of in that realm. She likes it. She'll go out and play with me every once in a while. She'll have fun. But getting her to go to a tournament and be out there for 5 hours, multiple days in a row, that's a tough ask, folks. I know my wife, happy life.
We're going to see her at all this season at least once.
She'll be at a tournament. Yeah, she wants to come watch, but I mean, I it's also one of those things where it's like you kind of know they're not like having the greatest time in the world. So it's like, why would you put them in that spot? Is Gannon on track to be the GOAT, Gary?
I think that we are seeing when he is at his best, I think we're seeing a skill level in disc golf we've not seen before. But we're talking he's young. There's many years that have to be put in before we're talking about GOATs. And like, I don't want to get into the whole conversation of the old era, the modern era, the Paul era, all this stuff. I think if you're going to really be considered the greatest of all time, you've got to put it down a lot longer than Gannon has yet. And the man doesn't have a world championship yet, which we all know the history books, they look back and they look to see how many world championships does this person have.
Yeah, the issue with Gannon is if he doesn't start winning majors in a hurry, he might go down as what if, right? He might go down as the greatest player ever. That why couldn't he win more majors, right? So, and look at this margin of victory last 5 years. Average margin of victory for players with at least 2 elite major victories from 2021 to 2025. Gannon's got 15 wins. His average is 3.6. Max, obviously 11. That definitely skewed up his numbers a little bit. But with 15 wins, it didn't really mess too much. You got Isaac Robinson on there with 5 wins, average of 3.2. Ricky with 10 wins, 3.1. You got Eagle, 5 wins. Gosh, when was the last time Eagle won? Holy smokes, it's been a hot minute. Chris Dickerson with 2 wins. Paul Macbeth with 5. Simon with 7. And Calvin was 6 there.
There's a trend here. If you look at this, you can see disc golf through the ages as you move from left to right. And what's incredible about it is Gannon is having the larger average margin of victory with an ever increasing skillful field
when it's harder to do it.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I think the better question, maybe you guys let me know in the comments down below. The better question is, if Gannon is to be the GOAT, right? If he does go down as the greatest ever, before, like, just talking about when it happens, because obviously maybe 20, 30 years from now, there would be some other kid coming up that's insane, right? At what year would that be? Could he do it in 4 years? Could he rattle off 3 world championships in the next 4 years, 2, 3 other majors, and another 15 wins? And all of a sudden at that point, 4 years from now, we're all saying it. Is it going to take him 7 years, 8 years? I think that's a more interesting question, because I think he has the potential of doing it for sure. It's just how long is it going to take him if he stays on this course?
Stays healthy too. That's a big thing,
Yes, health is a huge, huge one. I would be willing to bet I consume disc golf content in the 99th percentile of fans. Hot take. Unplugged DGN, for those wondering what Unplugged DGN, it is their non-commentary format. You can watch without any commentary. It's so much more enjoyable than hearing commentary. I have watched almost every round live for the last 2 years. Too much talking, not enough on-course audio. That is one of the big issues. And a lot of times I think that's the producer. That's the producer telling people to shut up, to not talk. I think, on this podcast, for example, if Gary wasn't here, if we didn't have Mike here, this podcast would be a lot worse, because I wouldn't have people showing me stuff to talk about or bringing stuff up to me. I would have to just go off the dome all the time. So having a good producer is a huge, huge advantage. And when you don't have a good producer and no one to tell you, like, hey, shut up, you're talking too much, let's just let this breathe. It's hard a lot of times. Some people get in the moment. It is awkward. Like, Gary, let's just sit here in silence for 10 seconds.
Sure.
See, that is awkward. That is awkward to do. A lot of people struggle doing that. But when you have, audio on site, you can hear players talking, you can hear whatever it is, like, it adds to it. And I think right now, the way that, and Gary, if you want my honest opinion, I think what's happening is, I think Jomez is ruining live coverage. I think Jomez is so popular. So many people have watched Jomez that they've just ingrained that's what commentary is in disc golf. And Jomez is a different product. Jomez is a companion stream. Jomez is sitting down, and it's like watching disc golf with your buddies. That's what Jomez is. And that they do a really, really great job with that. That is not what live disc golf should be. Live disc golf should be nothing like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that is what is happening here.
Yeah, because so many of us started with Jomez before we ever really got into watching live. I think that's because a lot of people who come in new are starting with the post-produced, or, if I want to get someone to watch disc golf, I'm not saying, hey, let's watch this weekend's event. I'm going to pick an event in the last few years that I know is electric and say, go watch the back 9 of this one. And tell me that it isn't interesting to watch. And then I'll say, let's go watch a live event together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the giant rubber duck. I think giant stuff is awesome, and I will die on that hill. What are your ideas for future world's largest stuff you can add to specific tournaments? Gary, give me one. Mike, give me one, and I'll give you one.
Gotcha. World's largest stuff.
What's something that we could add that we think would be sick for a future tournament?
First thing I thought of, it just hit my head, was the world's largest tee pad, and just see everyone get all excited about this massive tee pad as you can gallop through the sponsors.
Mike says world's largest stopwatch.
Oh,
all right. That's a good one. I'm going with world's largest piece of Swiss cheese. And you set that bad boy 50 feet in front of the tee pad with all the different holes.
I like that.
And you got to throw it through. You got to pick a hole. You got to pick a cheese hole to throw it through. Let's see here. When a disc golfer gets one to go in from the tee after multiple throws, should we refer to that as an ace? I don't know if this is referring to Kelsey's video
This
or
has been a
not.
debate for years.
But what are your guys' takes on that? If you throw multiple shots from the tee, should that be considered an ace?
It depends. I've heard the argument that it's like a practice ace, because you get people who go out with cameras and they try to film ace runs, and so it's not a hole in one because you're not playing the hole for the first time. I don't think it's a true ace. I think you have to say it's like a practice ace or something like that, because you did throw it from the tee into the basket, but you got to put that little asterisk of, hey, I threw a bunch of discs.
Do you want me to give you my hot take that you might not like?
No, bring it on.
I don't think any ace counts unless it's in a scoring round.
I like that.
So
like
even if you threw it, even if it was your first throw off the tee, if previously in the round you threw multiple shots or you took multiple putts or you did anything that you would not do in an actual scoring round, not a real ace.
There you go. How many tournament aces do you have, Brody?
I got one in Virginia. Tournament aces?
Tournament ace.
I got one in Virginia. I think that might be it. I think I might just have one.
There you go.
One in Virginia with my clear get freaky. It was nasty.
Sweet.
When is the Connor versus Kelsey Ace Challenge? That is going down on July 11th. If you are in the Lynchburg area,
oh boy,
get your tickets, folks. July 11th, Kelsey versus Connor Ace Challenge will be going down. All are welcome to come out and watch.
Sounds like a good time to be in Virginia.
Why does Calvin look sad? I don't know, brother. I think that's just the way he looks.
The pizza's not ready yet.
Will I beat Gannon Des Moines? If I do, I will. What will I do? What will I do if I beat Gannon Des Moines?
Run for the PDGA board.
I think no shot. Actually, I think if I beat Gannon in Des Moines, that's not good for disc golf because that means Gannon got injured. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Look at this. Spice it up. Spice it up.
They already got one other cheese-based thing on that course. You get the mozzarella sticks, and they get the Swiss Mando.
All right. I think that is it. Did we miss anything else? Mike or Gary, do you guys have anything else? I have a few foundation things that I want to. A very exciting announcement, actually. Very exciting announcement. But any other stories that we missed?
I don't know if it's worth mentioning the partnership that DGN is doing with the Women's Sports Network to try to get more.
Is this?
So, according to this, was released on the All Birdies No Bogeys podcast, that the All Women's Sports Network is partnering with the Disc Golf Network to make first round coverage available on this like television network. According to their website, like 2 billion people have access to this channel.
What channel is this? I've never heard of this channel. Have you guys heard of? Has anyone heard of this channel?
It's a new channel that focuses solely on like women's sports. And so they're going to be rolling out this for the first time with the U.S. Women's Major, and they're going to have the entire event basically for free if you have this channel. And then from that point on, for the remainder of the season, I think they talked about like 9 different events where the first round will be made available for them on that channel.
You want my honest opinion on it? If they're not paying. The heck am I looking at here?
This is their website.
All right. If they're not paying for it, and this is just a completely free partnership, awesome. Great.
Yeah, I guess someone
if they're paying for it, terrible waste of money.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, because this is I think sometimes disc golfers have like this idealistic perspective that our sport is awesome, and if we just get it in front of the right people or enough people, it'll just take off. And that was kind of the perspective that I was getting when that was announced, was like, hey, our sport's great. If we just put it on some kind of bounce pad, this is going to be massive for the sport. Where I agree that it's going to be great to be able to promote the FPO in a place where more people can watch it. To say that, like, if we just get on the right place and it's rocket fuel for us, I think is a little bit disingenuous to like what needs to be done in the sport to grow a bit more. Because like we've been on CBS, we've been on these major networks, albeit at weird times going up against other things, but
it's not,
what do you think?
Disc golf is a player watching sport. No one is watching disc golf. I stand on this. No one is watching disc golf that doesn't play it. No one listening to this podcast right now doesn't play disc golf. Right? That is just what the sport is. I don't play football ever. Other than maybe I throw the football around maybe once every few years, maybe on the beach, but I'm never ever actually playing football. I listen to a football podcast. Right? Like disc golf is a player podcast, or a player sport. So how do you get the Disc Golf Pro Tour bigger? Well, two things. One, you get it in the eyes of people playing disc golf, right? And two, you get more people to play disc golf. You get people interested at a younger age to play disc golf. That is it. Throwing disc golf in a bar, sure. Will there be people eating their wings, looking up, being like, oh, that's kind of cool? Is that going to get them to go out and play disc golf? No. What's going to get them to go out and play disc golf is a friend inviting them to go play disc golf. Yeah. A brother, a sibling, someone saying, hey, let's go play, them going out there, doing it, being like, this is awesome. What else is there to do? And then seeing more. It's a player view sport. You're not going to get just general people to watch it.
So you heard it here first, folks. Disc golf is a pyramid scheme. Get two people to play. Those two people get two people to play.
Yes. I could see like something in the Olympics, right? I could see that when you start having like USA. I could see people getting behind the USA disc golf team and maybe watching that and not know really much anything about disc golf because that's the Olympics and people go crazy. I watch curling. But yeah, it's a player sport. Doesn't make sense to be like, oh, if we get it on this, it will blow up. No, if you put it on that, no one will watch it. People are just going to turn the channel.
Yeah.
You know? All right. Was there anything else?
Not that I'm aware. Are you going to win at the match play? The display?
Yes. Is it bad that I'm like kind of really excited for that? The content creator challenge thing? Yeah, I'm super pumped. It should be fun. Should be a lot of fun. They did deny my two names. My initial first name, I went with PDJ Sucks. They said I was not allowed to have our team name be called that. So then we tried for a second name. My second choice for our team name, I'm talking about me and Hunter for the Creator Classic in Des Moines, was Time Violation. And they did not accept Time Violation either.
Dang.
So I actually don't even know what our name is because once they said no to both of those, I said, all right, I'm out. Yep. Don't give us a team name. I don't give a rip.
I submitted Brunter. It's too good.
Oh, Melody. I don't play. I started watching during COVID. I'm addicted to the sport. The players and their amazing dedication to evolve and predict their shots. Amazing. Hey, we've got a bot in the chat. A bot in the chat. We got a bot in the chat. Thank you for those bot views. We appreciate it. Whoever's paying for us and those bot views, thank you.
Don't let the bot get the crown, guys.
Thank you so much. All right. Couple that's exactly what a bot would say, Melody. Couple fun, exciting announcements here. First one, we are in works of a Janus Raptor stamp, folks. It hasn't come out completely yet, but we are currently in works for a Janus Raptor stamp. It's going to be a limited edition. It's going to be sick. I'll let you know when that comes out. Also, sub box. If you have not yet, go over to foundationdisc.com, look into the sub boxes. We've got a couple available. So if you're interested in that, go grab one of those. If you're like, what the heck is a sub box? Well, you just pay a little bit of money, and every month we send you discs. Simple as that. And if you haven't yet, make sure you type join or text join, JOIN, to 1-833-255-8270. Text 1-833-255-8270. Text join. We have use master box this week. So if you like used discs, there you have it. Mike's got it in the chat there for you guys. Text join to that, and you guys will get discounts and deals. And if you love used discs, be on the lookout because we have some cool stuff coming soon. And here we go, Gary. The big announcement. And Mike, let me know when you have the poll ready to go for this next announcement. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Mike, let me know and I'll text you because we need the poll ready for this. I'm going to need all 400 plus of you that are in the live chat to vote for this poll coming up. He says, text me. Okay.
Yep.
Gary, you have the floor for 1 minute. Why text Mike?
Oh, 1 minute. Hey, one of the fun things you can do with those boxes when you get them is challenge yourself. Take the disc in that box and go play around with it. And then let us know how well you do. And we can see who the top mystery box used disc player is. I got a box with 3 discs from Hunter not that long ago. I'm going to go play around with him. I told him to do his worst, and he sent me some pretty interesting ones. He actually sent me a disc that was from a local event from years ago. Didn't even realize it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, go out there and play.
Event to you.
Yeah, he sent me. We have an old event. I think I have it with me here. We have an event that goes down here every year called the Bookmiller Super Thriller, and there are these guys that have been pretty massively important people in our local area. Right there, you can see.
Oh,
so this, like, Hunter, I just told him, like, he's standing in front of a bunch of used discs, and I said, send me your worst, and he picked this out and sent it to me. Literally, this is 20 minutes from my house.
Wait for the poll.
I play in the Bookmiller Super Thriller every year. So it's like kind of funny how that works.
That's sick. All right. Mike, do you have the photo? Do you have the photo from the prep sheet? Or do you want me to text you the photo?
Oh, he's ready.
He's ready. Okay. So if you guys listen to our podcast with Ezra has finally decided to go to the pre-cock forehand and has changed his game. So I need you guys to know, man of the people, I said we have to get a pre-cock disc out there. So if you want a pre-cock disc, I need you to vote in the poll that you want one of these. This is dependent on whether or not the demand is here. I somehow was able to make them get a stamp for us, Gary. And now this is the debut of the pre-cock stamp. Go ahead and show it, Mike. There it is, folks.
There we go.
The poll's going up right now. I need you to vote whether or not you want a pre-cock disc or not. This will decide whether or not this disc will actually exist. That is how we do it here on Foundation. We get the information from the people. We're for the people, by the people, and I'm man of the people. And if you want this bad boy, I need you to vote down below right now. All business, Brad is going to take this information, and that is going to decide whether or not we actually make this a thing. Brad says, give me 3 pre-cocks. I love it, Brad. Yes.
There we go.
Yes. And if you don't pre-cock your forehand, you're doing it wrong, folks. I'll say that right now. SBGFL says worse than the rubber duck.
That's not bad because rubber duck was great. So if it's worse than that, it's still good.
Webb says he's pre-cocked all day. Love to hear that, brother. Love to hear that. All right, we got 50 votes in. If you haven't voted yet, get your votes in down below. I think if we get 100 yeses, I think it's impossible for All Business Brad to say no to this.
Yep.
So if you haven't voted, vote down below. Pre-cock disc. There are, I will say there are 25% of people saying no, Gary. And that hurts my feelings a little bit, but sometimes the truth hurts. And this might just be a really great image that I will have as a screensaver on my phone.
Yep.
And it will never be a disc.
How many likes or agreements do we have to do to get you to dress up in a chicken suit and play around?
If we get 1,000 of these discs and we sell out in one day, I will play in a pre-cock chicken suit round.
There we go, people.
You have my
make
word.
This happen.
You have my word. I will play. I might have to wait until winter because it was 100 degrees today, and I think I literally would die. I think I would actually die. 25% are Grip Lock fans, hate watching because their podcast can't go live.
There we go.
All right, well, keep voting, guys, in the poll. If you're listening to this after the fact, come on over to the YouTubes. Leave a comment down below on whether or not you would want a disc with this on it. And you know what? At the end of the day, I might just tell them to run it, and I'll just buy whatever's left over. I don't give a rip. I'll take 100 pre-cock dicks. I don't care. But I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you to all of our listeners out there. Thank you to everyone live in the chat. Thank you to all of our listeners on Apple, on Spotify. Thanks to all the bots coming in and chatting tonight. Thank you so much for getting our live numbers up. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to Gary for filling in for Yuli tonight. Thanks for Mike with the keys in the background. Thank you to all you guys. Next week, I will be live in Des Moines, my friends, and should be a good time up there with my buddies playing some disc golf. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time.